Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Beck, host of Welcome Home on Good Life 45. And you're listening to my good friends, Fritz, Mike, and Tina, right here on God Stories Radio, bringing hope, comfort, and encouragement to the world through the power of the Christian testimony. Keep listening for a big blessing from the Lord.
You're listening to WGSR, bringing hope and comfort to the world, 24 hours a day.
You're listening to the God Stories Radio podcast. www.godstoriesradio.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to God Stories Radio. This is session 287. I'm Fritz.
And I'm Tina.
And I'm Joe.
Darn right you are.
Yep.
I keep forgetting that I get to be up top.
Yeah. Yes, you do. It's just hard to come up with a different intro. I've done that for so long.
Yeah, I know. It's strange.
I don't know. Maybe I should introduce you, my lovely wife, Tina.
Well, thank you.
Please welcome to the stage. I don't know. Joe, what's going on over there?
I'm just checking on you. You finally got out of the kids pageants, huh?
Yeah. The church has gotten everything out of me this week. I'm telling you, but those kids were cute. I got to admit, the littles, they're just cute.
I'm just waiting for you to bust out in one of those songs right in the middle of this podcast today, because I know that after 4 straight days, totally stuck.
I know a few of them by heart now. You know, happy birthday, Jesus. Yeah.
Choreography and everything.
Oh, yeah. They're so cute.
They're adorable.
They really are. You know, they either don't sing or they scream.
Absolutely.
Well, God made them small and cute for a reason.
There you go.
Yep.
I mean, we had one little gal, Krista, couldn't stand it. She just started laughing. She was in a little red dress and she was boogieing, man. She was up. She wasn't singing or nothing, but man, she was boogieing. And Krista lost it. She's like, looked at the audience and it was hysterical. So there was some really tender moments in all those shows. So to say that I didn't enjoy them, but I did.
Yeah, no,
I really did.
It's a good time, and it's fun to be able to see all that and experience it and bring it to life.
Oh, you bet.
And it's just fun to see their personalities just shining through these little bodies, you know, because they just can't hold it all in.
Oh, I know, right? Gosh.
There's one that cries in every group. There's one that almost jumps off the stage. There's one that sings too loud. Yeah, it's great. It's good times.
You got the one that has the hard sole shoes on that jumps up and down in front of the mic to hear himself. I love that one.
The things that only the audio guy notices.
I know. But I noticed the little suits, you know, like they come dressed up in their little suits and sharp.
It's a good time of year. It's my
I saw
favorite
Seth
time of year.
today.
Did you?
I did. Uncle Seth.
He
listening?
He mentioned you may come watch some football later.
That's the rumor.
All right. Well, Tina, what's going on Facebook? Anything new out there?
Well, we do have a new like, so we want to say thank you to Tony Justice Hill for liking us on Facebook.
Thank you, Tony.
Hey,
welcome to the GSR
Tony.
family.
How about you, Fritz? Any new countries over there? Any new stats to share with us?
Oh, gosh darn it.
We're having so much fun talking ahead of time.
I know. I didn't even think to look at the stats.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm just going to be honest and transparent. This week is just a blur.
Well, I can tell you just on Facebook alone, just some of the countries that we are heard in and also that participate with us on Facebook. Of course, the USA, the Philippines, India, Australia, the United Kingdom, Nigeria, Canada, Pakistan, South Africa, and the UAE. So we do have quite a presence on Facebook as well. So if you're listening to us and you haven't liked us yet on Facebook, please do so because it gives us a way to engage with you and let you know what's going on here, gives you another avenue to contact us. And we just love to hear from you and bring you encouragement throughout the week. So
that's great. At God Stories Radio is where you'll find us there on Facebook. And
you bet.
Warm welcome to Robert Herman. We see him there on Mixlr live with us right now. For those that are listening after the show, you can always hear us 7:30 Eastern time on the Mixlr app, Mixlr. It's a free app to download. And if you make a username and follow us, you'll get notified anytime the show goes live.
And you'll get a shout out.
That's
10
right.
out of 10 times. If I see you on there, I'm going to shout you out because I appreciate you joining us, taking time to listen in.
yeah, listening
Helps us
live
too.
is special. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
what about you, my dear? How was your week?
crazy.
I know, because it's pre-Christmas stuff, and that's
That it
busy
is.
time.
And then I work for a church, and it's it's program time, and we have a big school, and I just love all those kids and those teachers, and I just do my best for them.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's a special time of year for families.
Oh,
so
you
it's
bet.
really nice that you get to be a part of that in that way.
Yep. If I could bring a little joy, makes my day.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. Wonderful.
What do you say we get into it?
Let's do it, Joe. Who do we have tonight?
I'm happy to say she told me she wouldn't speak. So for those of you that listened to our last podcast with Kelly, she's back in the studio with us tonight, but she's not on a microphone. She's not gonna talk. But she brought a good friend of hers, Pam, and Pam is come and is ready to share her testimony. So not gonna take anything away from it. Just love to welcome you and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really nice to meet all of you tonight. And this year, I just made it one of my goals. I read the book by Bob Goff, and to do what's in front of me. And this was something that God put in front of me today.
And we thank you for saying yes. We ask a lot of people. Not everybody says yes, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Pam.
Yeah. So thank you. And I want to share a story about our family and something that we experienced in 2014, 2015. My daughter was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. And that journey for us brought us into some very unexpected places. And I think this week our government issued a national health crisis for mental illness. And I think that it's really important as Christians that we talk about these things. And so I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here.
That was one of the things that was mentioned by a listener on your testimony, Kelly, was how appreciative they were that you were bringing light to mental health issues and just putting it in such a relatable space, not apologizing for it, just saying this is what it is. And these are all good people involved. It's just, this is the circumstances we're in and how we've had to deal with it and how it's affected our lives.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to start by just saying I love Jesus. And
Amen.
I love him and have vowed to follow him through my whole life. My kids were raised in church. I was a Christian school teacher for many years and worked in the church and was a worship leader. And my kids went with me every chance that we were there. And they were a part of that too and had that upbringing. And my daughter has anorexia nervosa. And I think it's just really important to say that mental illness affects everyone. And there's a lot of stigma, I think, in the church regarding that maybe, something's wrong if you have a mental illness. But just like any other illness, people get sick with mental illness as well.
Sure.
One of the stories that stands out to me the most is the story of Joseph. And I love that God used those negative circumstances in his life to bring about good for so many. And the verse that stands out to me as I share my testimony is Genesis 50:20. And it says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. And as I share the story, I want you to hear that God used this in our lives to help others and to help us. And so I'm grateful for the difficulty.
Amen.
So I guess I'll just start with what anorexia is. It is a brain-based mental illness. It's a biological illness. I think a lot of people don't really understand what anorexia is. We see all these TV shows growing up, maybe of somebody who just doesn't eat. That was what I remembered as a parent and as a teacher. I thought I knew what it was, but then I really didn't. So when anorexia comes about, usually it comes out in a perfect storm. And that storm includes genetics, personality, and an environmental trigger. And I think there's some misconception that people believe that there's some sort of trauma that has to happen in order for anorexia to be a mental illness. But that's not the case. We're finding out that it is a genetic illness. Often there is a family history of this mental illness. And for Melody, that was the case. She has 2 family members in her distant family that have eating disorders. She also has a very perfect personality tendency. She is a perfectionist. As a preschooler, I remember saying, "Sorry, Melody, we can't go to school today because you have strep throat." And I remember her crying because she was going to miss out on school one day. She always had this philosophy as, if you can do it, I can do it better and I can do it perfect. And so that coupled with an environmental trigger. And for her, that environmental trigger was just a health project at school. She began eating healthy and she also was a runner. And those 2 things resulted in her beginning to lose weight. So I will say that the health project seemed like a good idea. Oh, she's just going to eat healthy. But as a parent, I quickly saw that there was something going on. I just didn't know what it was.
How old was she about the time?
She was 14.
Okay.
Yep. And so maybe 15, around that age. It's hard to say exactly when it began for her, but it was around that time.
So just kind of going into high school.
She was a sophomore.
Okay.
So yeah, beginning of her sophomore year, she had just returned from a mission trip to China. She had started running cross country. And then again, this health project, she was a perfectionist. And so she wanted to do this health project perfectly. And she won and went to regional competitions. So this project that was supposed to be a month ended up continuing. Mm-hmm. And it resulted in her eating disorder. Another verse that comes to mind for me regarding this is John 9:1-3. God's talking to the blind man, and he's asking, well, the people are asking, who's the result of this sickness? Is it his parents or him? Has he sinned or his parents? And in verse 3, he says, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed on him. And I struggled as we began to find a diagnosis for her. We really didn't know that she had anorexia. We were not getting it at all. We thought that she has what's called Hashimoto's, and so it's a thyroid condition. We thought she's losing weight because of her thyroid condition. So we went to doctor after doctor, and even they were fooled. As a mom, I saw her eating 3 meals a day. I said, "What's wrong with her? There's something wrong," but we didn't know what. After much doctors and much tests, she was cleared to go on another mission trip after her sophomore year to Zambia, where she went to work with AIDS orphans. We sent her with shakes that she was supposed to drink every day, along with eating 3 meals a day. But we did allow her to go, thinking again still that she had a thyroid condition. That summer, I began this Bible study called I Believe in God. Some of you may have heard it before. And through that, I just began to pray for my daughter and for my family. There were some difficulties that were happening that I knew were out of my control. But through that Bible study, I just remember saying, I believe in God and I know that he is going to do something. I just don't know what that is. She came back from Africa. And I was shocked. She is my height, which is about 5'6". At the time she was 5.5, 5'5". I'm 5'6", but she grew. But anyway, she was about 90 pounds.
Wow.
And again, her leader was like, I fed her every day. I did what she said. I gave her the milkshakes. But she's still, and so I'm still in denial. I don't think that this is anorexia. I think that this is just her thyroid. Something's wrong. Mm-hmm. She came to my class that week for school. I was a teacher and she talked about her mission trip because it was the beginning of school. And as she was visiting, one of my teacher friends, his daughter had suffered with anorexia. And I remember talking to him and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I know she's sick. He goes, Pam, she has anorexia. And the reality of that moment of the denial of everything, just realizing that, yeah, I think she does, was really hard. We ended up bringing her to a Christian therapist that he recommended that his daughter had gone to, who specialized in eating disorders, who then sent her to a dietitian. And we began our journey of healing. Quickly into that process, my daughter was sent to get blood work and heart tests. She went and had a heart test and ended up being sent immediately to the emergency room, where they told us that as a result of her eating disorder, she possibly needed to go into the ICU. After much discussion, they decided that because she has an eating disorder, they weren't going to put her in the ICU. But if it was anyone else, they would. And her heart rate was so low, it was in the 20s.
Wow.
So they monitored her up overnight. We listened to the monitors go off throughout the night. And I remember just crying. And I remember praying next to her bed and just saying, Melody, do you want to live? Like, at this point, she had never said she felt fat. She had never said anything that made me believe that she had anorexia. But I remember her saying, I want to, Mom, but I just don't know how. She didn't know how she had gotten here or how to get out. Okay. And so this led us on a journey of healing, like I said. She ended up in a residential treatment facility. It was not a Christian treatment facility. It was in Miami because there was nothing close by. She spent the next 5 months there. We traveled weekly to visit her. And so through this time, I remember The War Room, the movie. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was that same time period. And I watched that movie and I remember setting up my closet, putting the papers on the wall, putting the verses on the wall, and just drawing in to Christ, right? And just praying and praying these specific prayers for my family, for my daughter. At the same time, my son had gone into the military. And so the same actually day that she went to residential treatment, my son also joined the Air Force. So as a mom, I was struggling.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
It was the hardest time of my life. And, but through it, again, these things happen because God has a purpose. He has a plan. He is working it out for the saving of many lives. And I through this journey, my husband and I joined her in the recovery process. And what that looked like for us is we got our own counseling. We got our own therapy. We worked together as a family to figure out how to get this better. Where did we go wrong? What can we do differently? And we learned. We learned how to do it better. We were both from New England. We didn't talk about feelings. We just did it. We just made it happen. There was, and we learned that that's not the best way for everyone, right? So we learned about feelings and we learned how to talk about those things. That God created feelings. It's okay. Like I remember growing up being told what you feel doesn't make it real, and that was a great thing. And feelings are important. And we learned to do it better, do it different. So how did God use it for good? First, he drew me closer to him. I learned in that closet on my knees in the midst of all my shoes that he's there, even in the midst of the pain, that he is listening. Every single prayer on that closet wall, God answered. And I know that he heard me. And so that was amazing. Again, we got therapy as a family. We learned to do things differently. We learned to communicate better. We learned to just how to relate better. And that's going to affect our family for generations to come. One big part of that for me, I had never met my biological father. At age 45, I was able to reconnect with him and find healing for that. That was huge. And then God moved me away from my position. At the time, I was working at a Christian school, and he opened up the door for me to begin ministry. I call it ministry. It's not a Christian organization, but I get to work every day with those suffering from eating disorders. And God used the pain that our family went through. Now I get to meet the needs of kids every day in the work that I do. I get to share with families. I get to help them on this very difficult journey that I don't wish for anyone. And I'm so grateful that I get the opportunity to talk about it. And then just my last verse I want to share that I think that is so important. 2 Corinthians 1, 3-5. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. That's what he's allowed us to do. And I'm very grateful.
Some things stood out to me when you gave your testimony. And again, thank you for opening up and giving that testimony. And I think when we go through trials, this is exactly the response God wants us to have, is to press in deeper to him. And you said that was your step one.
Yeah.
Which is great, because I think so many of us, that's not our step one. We're floundering, we're lost, we don't know where to turn. And that's the wonderful thing about having God in your life. You always turn to God first. You lean in, you press in. No matter what those trials are that you're going on in your life, because he uses these trials and these difficulties in your life, not to torture you, but to draw you closer to him and to also refine your relationship with him and to make you even stronger. I've watched people go through some incredible things that they've talked about on the show. And it's amazing how God will step into their lives when we get out of the way and just let him do what he needs to do. And you also mentioned your step 2 was therapy, which I think is great to take advantage of the help and the resources that God has placed in this world to help.
Absolutely.
And then you said your step 3 was you learned how to do things differently. And I love that, because if you keep doing the same thing, you're not going to get a different response. You're just going to get the same thing that you've always gotten. So it's really refreshing to hear that you had to change. Everybody had to change in order to help her heal, because it wasn't just her illness, it was an illness for the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely affects everyone involved, and is started by everyone involved. We all had a part to play. Although it is biological, it also is impacted by the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to do it different. But I do think, one of the things that I learned the most was just having those open hands. I think so many years I had worked to try to be perfect and do everything right as a Christian school teacher. And as somebody who worked in a church, I had to always be doing and doing it well and making sure it looked good. And what I learned was I was clenching those fists. What I need to learn is to open those hands. God can't put gifts into my hands if I have them closed all the time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, the example they talk about with the beach sand.
Yeah.
The harder you grip it, the more you lose.
Yep.
You said something also too, which I think is really important, was about writing things down. You know, the Bible speaks to that.
Yeah.
It says, write the vision, make it plain. Mm-hmm. And that's what you did. And then you actually could keep track of the prayers that the Lord answered. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm thankful for that movie at that time. Like
it's
was
so
what
important.
I needed. Yeah.
I think too, writing things down is actually an act of releasing it.
Uh-huh.
Physically releasing it. At least it was for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how is she today?
She is currently doing well. She's married. She just graduated from UF. She's still a perfectionist, still tries to do her best at everything. She's trying to go to med school, actually. But she is working her recovery. She still sees a therapist. She still sees a dietitian. And she loves Jesus. I am thankful for her journey because she has her own story to tell, and she does.
What are some of the warning signs that you would give other parents in this sort of situation? Because this kind of blindsided you. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a clue as to what was going on. You had to rely on somebody who could see it from the outside because he had lived it.
Yes. Yeah. Warning signs. Somebody who is starting to isolate, somebody who is trying to exercise more, somebody who is eating differently. And that can look a lot of different ways. I think movement is key. One of the things she would do is she would stand all the time. And I had no idea. I just thought she was anxious, which she is a little bit too, but it was more, she was doing it to lose weight. I had no idea that was a thing. So isolating, exercising more, eating less or eating differently, not even less, because sometimes she was really good at tricking me into thinking she was eating normally. But really it was, she was hiding it or in a way that I couldn't see. Yeah.
And I think there's, because they have typically a dysmorphia that's going on inside of their head, right? So what they see is not really what is reality.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So for somebody with many different eating disorders, but specifically anorexia, like I said, when she finally went in the hospital, she was less than 80 pounds. And to her, gaining weight at all, she would look at her face and think she was fat. And so every single pound that she put on to her was like 100 pounds. Okay. So I don't know how to explain it other than that. Mm-hmm. It's not reality. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a voice that's kind of like in a schizophrenia, which it's not schizophrenia, but there's this voice telling you that it's something's true that's really not true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Although she never really voiced that to us ever until she started therapy. Mm-hmm. And so this was all in her head going on, and it was a struggle for her, but we had no idea. So the outward signs were not there other than exercise and not eating appropriately.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. I've watched a lot of, weight loss shows and so forth. And there's a lot of young women suffering from this. A lot.
Absolutely. And men. We actually.
Yes, and men. I'm sorry, men.
Yeah. Yeah. At our facility, we treat both boys and girls.
Yes.
And so it is hard to diagnose somebody with a boy with this illness because it's so misunderstood, but it is there. And so I think that, I think my message to all, but specifically to the church, I think we often will talk to people about weight loss and praise it. And it's a scary place to be. Because although there are some that struggle with being overweight, I don't even like to say that word. There are those that struggle every day to put food in their mouth just to survive. Mm-hmm. And so when we're praising people because of weight loss, it's scary to me. Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard because our society has conditioned so much of this. I mean, you look at a disease like anorexia nervosa and body dysmorphia and all that kind of comes with it. And we've only made it worse culturally through the expectations of the magazines. And you're only now starting to see some counterclash from all of that with young women saying, I am not going to be put into this box. I am not going to be an unrealistic size for my height or weight or what have you, or be dictated to about what is okay for me to weigh. Things like airlines having weight requirements for their air hosts and hostesses. Those were things that they were strictly adhered to in the 50s and the 60s and so forth. Nowadays, I don't think that that's as much of a thing, but there were a lot of things where we were conditioned. This is what you needed to look like. And if you didn't look like it, you were a failure.
Yeah.
And just having other people either pull positively or negatively into that space, because you have people that are important to you in your life. Mm-hmm. And what is the messaging that they're saying? Are they supporting you? Or are they saying, hey, did you put on a few pounds? Or, what is happening there? So I think it's especially, I'm not negating how difficult it is for men suffering from this disease. I just feel like a woman's body is so very different from a man's body, especially when it comes to losing weight and the changes that we go through through different phases of our lives. And if you look at a woman's body, we are going to gain weight every 10 years. It's going to happen because of the way our hormones just are.
God made us that way.
Yeah.
He made us those ways for specific reasons. We get to birth children. We get to, and trying to focus on those things is very important. And then just education, helping people to understand that someone can be healthy in a larger body. Yeah. We very much will educate people about health at every size, which is not popular in the mainstream. But it is definitely the truth. And so I think that just learning to talk about these things, I think it's important.
And just having balance in life
absolutely
is really the key, right?
Yep. That's what we teach. Yeah. All food fits, just in moderation.
Including the exercise too in moderation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm so glad you shared this with us. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we really appreciate you coming. What an amazing story.
It's God's story.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Amen to that. I could tell a few times you were kind of putting the brakes on it a little bit. That's the power of the testimony, though, is you reliving it. Yeah. And other people feel that, know that. That's wonderful. Hey, if you'd like to give your testimony, contact us, godstoriesradiotina @gmail.com. If you just want to email us, godstoriesradio@gmail.com. But we'd love to have your testimony. We'll take it any way we can get it. We'd love for you to come in the studio as Pam and Kelly have, and we would love to to meet you and then hear your testimony, or you can write a testimony and send it in. Again, godstoriesradio@gmail.com. We've read testimonies. We're not scared. We'll take it any way we can get it. You can call in, phone in, Skype in. We got it.
Yeah, and just as Tina said at the top of the show, we'd love to have you follow us on Facebook at God Stories Radio. We try to get a couple posts up a week, and would love to see your thoughts or prayer requests, praise reports, anything that you have to share out there for our community of believers.
Also, too, we just want to take a minute to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, because this will be our last episode before Christmas.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Fritz, because as I listen to the story that we just heard here today, and I pause and think, we talk about Christmas an awful lot, and we talk about joy, and we talk about happiness, and we talk about love. And for some, it's a season that's really hard. And I think that as Christians, it's important as well that we're hypersensitive and hyper aware this time of year that somebody may not be experiencing these same amazing, wonderful emotions that we are. And so just...
it's not joy for everybody.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, really be looking for somebody who might be struggling or hurting. And a big smile and a Merry Christmas might not be what they need from you right now. They might need support or just somebody that's there for them. So it just... I think it's important to be on the lookout.
If somebody wanted some more information or wanted to speak with you, is there a way that they could get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I'm not sure.
If not, we could have them contact us, and we could get in touch with you.
That would be great. And
so if you have any questions, or you want to find out some more information on testimony tonight, maybe you're struggling with those issues, and whatever it is, godstoriesradio@gmail.com, and we'll get that to Pam, and you can open up some dialogue, and she's happy to help.
Yes. I would also recommend a website. It's called the Alliance for Eating Disorders. There's lots of resources available.
Is that .com?
It's called the Alliance for Eating Disorders. I don't remember exactly.
Google it.
Sorry.
Yep. And we can post the link to the page after this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But they can provide resources in any area. You can type in your area and they will give you the resources that you need.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I went and Debbie Downered your Christmas message and parade, but to your point, it is...
it's not a Debbie Downer whatsoever. I'm so fired up and so glad Pam came in and shared this. I really am. What a miracle for Christmas.
Absolutely. And certainly looking forward to 2022 and getting back on the air early next year. We've got some testimonies already lined up right out of the gate. And Fritz, Tina, myself, just excited to get back on the air and hear what God has to say.
I just want to thank the folks out at Beloved Church for stepping up and saying, hey, I want to tell my story. I think I can make a difference. We appreciate that. I want to thank I'm going to pre-thank all of our brothers and sisters that are going to come out from Beloved Church. Thank you.
It's a great group of people. It's a plant church here.
Well, I've met two of them, and I have to agree.
Absolutely. All right. So Tina has been doing some sleuthing over here.
Sleuthing?
She has found the website. It is, I didn't wear my glasses. Here we go. The Alliance.
Alliance.
AllianceForEatingDisorders.com. AllianceForEatingDisorders.com is the website that was being referenced there.
There you go.
Good stuff. All right. And kind of last thing, it's the end of the year, and this is not free to do. So if anybody feels the nudge, wants to give a few dollars, looking for a organization to give to, there's a button on the webpage, godstoriesradio.com, where you can make a donation, and all proceeds go to God Stories Radio and keeping this ministry alive. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, we just appreciate everybody that prays for us and gives. Tax time coming up. The tax man cometh. So every little bit helps. Throw a little coin in our jar there. It's www.godstoriesradio.com. And there's a PayPal button on the front, and you can give securely whatever amount. And every little bit is appreciated. Thank you so much. Well, that about wraps it up for 2021.
Episode 287.
Episode 287.
Merry Christmas and Happy
Kicking
New
it to the
Year,
curb, man.
everyone.
We love you guys. Signing off. God Stories Radio, session 287.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.